Coming to know the only true God. Tonight's subject is coming to know the only true God. This afternoon, someone called, a gentleman, and my wife answered the phone. And he asked, "What is tonight's subject?" So she asked me, "What is tonight's subject?" I then told her the name of tonight's subject. Then she came back and said, "I don't think that he was at all impressed with that. He wanted something far more practical." Well, may I tell you, you will never hear anything in the world more practical than you will hear tonight on many levels. We'll take it from this level to another level and to other levels. So here the subject is coming to know the only true God. It's taken from the 17th chapter of the book of John. But we will start on the 14th of John. Let not your hearts be troubled. Let not your hearts be troubled. It doesn't matter what in this world appears to be real. It doesn't really matter. Let not your hearts be troubled, no matter what opposes you, what rules you hear, no matter what it is. This is very timely news. Listen up if you're feeling the same as me. Then Jesus said, "Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. Were it not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And when I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and I will take you unto myself, that where I am you may be also. Now you know the way where I am going." Thomas said to him, "We do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" He said, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one cometh unto the Father but by me." Then Philip said, "Lord, show us the Father, and we shall be satisfied." Jesus said, "I have been so long with you, and yet you do not know me, Philip. He who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? Believe that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe for the sake of the works the works themselves." Now let us go back and show you how practical this thing is. Practical. I know from actual experience, I don't care what the world appears to be, all right? Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. Here in this bold claim, believe in me, I am telling you what I know from experience. Now he tells you concerning the way. The way to what? To everything in this world. I don't care what it is. The way to everything. I am the way and the truth and the life, but specifically to the Father. The way to the Father. Before we come to that, to everything in this world, I don't care what it is. But before we come to that, oh well, that's one of them cryptic, nonsensical sentences. They don't make a whole lot of English sense. Now let me share with you what I know, that I am the way. I don't say Neville is. Listen to me carefully. I don't say Neville is the way. I say I am the way. Okay, he's not saying Neville is the way. He's saying I am the way. Very cool. Back to Barbados. The year is 1946. There are no flights out of New York to Barbados. Only boats, and it would take a week to get there. I learned that my sister's son, her oldest son Billy, was riddled with cancer, age 17, and this was the end. All right, just the end. I wanted to show my sister that it doesn't really die, that nothing dies, and that I am all imagination. I am all imagination. And I must be whatever I am in imagination. And I can be so vividly real at that point in space that I must be seen by those who are at that point in space. I had no way of communicating with her. There were no telephones between New York and Barbados in 1946. No telephones between New York and Barbados in 1946. Today we have it, by Bell. No airplane service, and so I went to my bedroom, I got on my bed, and I simply assumed. No one told me a way, or any other way other than I am the way would be spurious. No other way, I am the way. Well, what is the way? I can't get a plane, can't get a boat. Well, I am the way. So I assumed I am in my family's home, the home where we were all raised, that I am on a bed. It is the bed where my sister had her son, Billy, and I am so real in that bed, she can't see Billy. She can only see me. So he's on his sister's bed, assuming to be on his sister's bed. The bed where she had her son Billy. And he's so real, Neville is so real in that bed, that his sister cannot see Billy, she can only see Neville. That would encourage her to believe in immortality. Everything is real in this world. If he must make his exit, all right, his exit. But I want her to know that I am not the body. I am not this little garment. Let it die. I am immortal. I am only wearing a garment. And so here, I assume that I am on this bed. I assume that my sister came in and she saw me. And then she was startled. Startled, shocked, taken aback. She came forward and she looked. And she looked. And she looked. And she saw her brother Neville. She saw that Neville was 2,000 miles, or she knew that Neville was 2,000 miles away in New York City. I allowed her to see only me, and she couldn't see her son. I assumed I was right on his body. I took the place of Billy. I actually felt myself right into Billy, and I showed her the immortal being that cannot die. That's all that I did. Then I came out, and a lady, a very dear friend of ours, came for cocktails. It was about 5 New York time when I came out. She said, "Neville, why do you seem so heavy of spirit? You usually are so gay, and now you seem... What's wrong?" I said, "Not a thing is wrong." I just told her what I had done. I had just come from a very serious presentation of the immortal self that cannot die. I've just shown my sister that I cannot die. Therefore, Billy cannot die. Nothing dies. And so then we had cocktails. 1 week later, I received a letter from my sister. She went out and she wrote, "Neville, I just went in," and she gave the time and hour, allowing the difference of 1 hour between New York and Barbados. She wrote it as of then. She said, "Neville, I don't understand it, but please explain it if you can." I was looking in on Billy the other day because he is going. I went into the room and I was startled. When I looked at the bed, it wasn't Billy. It was you. I saw only you. I went over to the bed, and no matter how I looked, I closed my eyes, I opened my eyes, I closed my eyes, and I opened my eyes, and I looked, and it's only you. I couldn't see my son Billy. I could only see you. Will you please explain what this really means? Billy was still alive in this world, wearing the garment that was decaying, and she hoped that it would mean, all right, her recovery or some peculiar thing. Here was but a presentation of the immortal being that cannot die. If she could only see, let the little garment go. He cannot die. Nothing dies. I am all imagination, and I must be wherever I am in imagination. And if there is one sensitive enough to see me when I am there, then if I am there, then he should see me. And so Daphne saw me. So I tell you, I am the way. I didn't take a plane. I didn't take a boat. If anyone had suggested that way, it would have been a false way. So I tell you, I am the way. I didn't take a plane. I didn't take a boat. If anyone had suggested that way, it would have been a false way. So I want to be successful in this world, and someone tells me you must know the right people, join the right clubs, live in the right neighborhood. That's all stupid. These are all false ways. Anyone who tells me to move from where I am across the tracks to the better side of the tracks, that I may simply appear to the eyes of Caesar a better person, a more important person, that's all spurious. That is all false. There is no other way than I am the way. But tell me, is it true? I am the truth. Is it real? I am the life. So I move into a state, and the state becomes real to another who is physically present at that moment. Therefore, it is true at that moment. It is now not only true, but is it real or hallucination? I am the life. I can be real, for I am life. The whole thing becomes real and alive. So I tell you, in my Father's house there are many mansions. Were it not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And when I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and I will receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may also be. Now you know the way where I am going. I'm going where? To everything in this world that you desire. Whatever you want to be, whatever you want to be, I will know. Wherever you want to be, whatever you want to be, I will know. For I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. I will lead you ultimately to the Father. For that is really what I'm talking about. I'll lead you to the Father. That is really the way, but no one comes to the Father but by me. So where will I go now? Let me show you another one. Here I think it was 52 or 53. He's talking about years. Here I think it was 1952 or 1953. I was living in Beverly Hills on El Camino. It was a home that we rented. It was furnished and we had a double bed. I'm on the right side of my body. It's the wee hours of the morning. And suddenly I am seeing what I should not see. I am seeing the interior of a very plush place. Consciousness follows vision, and I walk into the place. I remember where I was when it started, so I came back to the bed on my right side. I remembered where it was when it started, so I came back to the bed again on my right side. Again I walked into the place, and again I came back. I did it over and over, and then I decided to experiment. I thought I'd simply adventure. So as consciousness now followed vision into this place, I stepped into it, and it actually closed upon me, as though you had closed the curtains. Just as though these curtains were now suddenly drawn, I couldn't see you. I'm completely shut from this world that I still remember in Beverly Hills. I know where my body is. It's on a bed, a double bed. My wife is in it. And here I am completely shut out from that world. For a moment, it doesn't disturb me. I'm going to experiment. Everything is real. Just like this, as solid as this little lectern is now. Everything is real, just like this. Okay. I am to myself as solid as I am now. I walk through the door into a palatial suite of rooms. I examine all the things. It's unoccupied but ready for occupancy. but not occupied. I come out into a hallway and I start walking this hallway. At the end, intersecting the hallway was another hallway that seemed a more public hallway. A more public hallway. This one simply led those who occupied these suites into it and then into the main hallway. When I got to the end, I noticed that the whole thing was luminous. Brilliant. Brilliant light. Two ladies were coming down the hallway, and I said, "Ladies, this is a dream." For I remember the origin of it and of it all. I was on my bed on the right side of my body, and the whole thing started that way. So I said, "This is a dream." They did exactly what any lady would do if a stranger met them in the hallway and announced, "This whole thing is a dream." They would think that one who made that announcement was insane. So they acted just as any lady would act, and they got as far removed from me as they could against the wall, but they couldn't go through it. And they walked as fast as they could in that manner, one behind the other. Then as they got to the end, they then turned and made their exit. I said to myself, "Now, Neville, you know that this whole thing began as it began. So now you want to wake up and get back. You want to wake up and get back to your bed with your wife." Well, I closed my eyes and imagined I'm back. Opened my eyes, I'm still there. I closed my eyes again and said, "I'm back. This is a dream. Wake up." I opened my eyes, I'm still standing there. I am completely shut out in an entirely different world, and there is no way back. I couldn't walk down the corridor and go, ? Provided what I should provide for her future. I guess there's some cutoff here. I must leave her in. Okay, so we're talking about his daughter now. Somehow I ran into her, his daughter. I must, provided what I should provide for her future, I must leave her independent of the blows of life. I have a daughter and she's not been educated. She's in high school and she must have the best education that she is capable of taking. These are unfinished things in my world. I said, "Come on, Neville, you've got to get back." Then I remembered the way, and feeling is the secret. Just as I felt myself on my bed in Barbados, I felt myself there. I once felt myself while in a dream and knew that if I could only feel, I would wake in the dream. Well, I did. Woke in a dream. Now I must now feel. And so, I'm not going to walk down the corridor and try to get back, because that's a different world. What world is as real as this world? That world is as real as this world. Isolated, you can't find it by going through any crack in this world. It's simply that night in question, my eyes opened and I saw it and walked into it. While laying on my bed, I walked into it, and this world is just as real as this. That world was just as real as this one. That's the world, and there are worlds within worlds into which everyone goes. Nothing dies, and there are worlds that are relative to this, non-existent, judged by mortal minds. And so what I did was this. I simply imagined that my head was on a pillow and that I could feel it. I felt the pillow, and as I felt it, suddenly I felt myself in a horizontal state rather than a vertical. And I knew I was on my bed. But I couldn't move my body. My body was cataleptic. Everything was dead. I am in my body, but it's dead. After what seemed like an eternity, I could move the little finger and then move a little bit more. And then finally I could move the other, and it stretched out. I could feel the warmth of my wife. I felt her body and knew I was back. But I'm still dead. The body is dead. All but this arm. I tried to open my eyes and I couldn't. Then afterwards, all this seemed a very, very long time. Then the lids, I could pry them open, and then I became aware of familiar objects in the room. The bureau, the things all around, and here I am back. So I know I am the way. There is no other way. I didn't walk down the corridor. I didn't fly. I didn't take any road that man would suggest. I simply assume that I am where I want to be. Assuming that I am where I want to be. I was there. I know that I can assume that I am what I want to be, and I am there. I am wherever I am in imagination. Excuse me while I grab this line. I can make, let's see, copy. I can make there, here, and then now, fuse them together, and I am here. I am all imagination, and I must be wherever I am in imagination. But always make there, here, and then now. Always make there, here, and then now. Always make there, here, and then now. There is here, then is now. It's always the here and now. So I am now the success I would like to be. And the world witnesses it. And this is the secret of I am the way. We do not know where we are going. We do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Well, he is really teaching them to go to the Father. And tonight, here we go into the profound aspect of this chapter. Don't forget what I told you. It's the most practical thing that I could tell you. I know from experience. I am the way. I can be anything in this world by simply using my imagination, for I am all imagination. I am all imagination, and I must be wherever I am in imagination. But now I lead you to the Father. No one comes unto the Father but by me. But no one. This is the most profound mystery in the world, but man cannot quite grasp it. I hope tonight I can make it so clear that you can see him. It is my desire that you can see him clearly tonight. This mystery of the Father. No one has ever seen God but the only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father. He has made him known. Now the word bosom simply means within. That's all that it means. Look it up in both Greek and Hebrew. Blake uses it, ever expanding in the bosom of God, the human imagination. We speak of the one who was his favorite, the one he loved, who rested on his bosom. Hasn't a thing to do with anything on the outside? It's all within. No one has ever seen God but the only begotten Son, who is within the Father. He has made him known. Now people say, well, don't you believe in Jesus? Certainly, I don't believe in anything more than I do in Jesus. Well, then you don't believe that he was a man who was born miraculously 2,000 years ago? And this was it? And of course, you don't want to ruin their beliefs. You can't. You mustn't do it. You've got to be so tender in approaching anyone who has this fixed idea in his world. How are you going to approach it? You say, but no one. Do you believe? You say, but no one. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is God the Father? He's his Son. Everybody tells you that he is God the Father. And Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and we shall be satisfied. He said, I have been so long with you, and yet you do not know me, Philip. He who has seen the Father, he who has seen me has seen the Father. How then can you say, show us the Father? Did anyone ever see him? To see and to know are the same word in Hebrew, and in Greek, to see and to know. To see and to know are the same word in Hebrew and in Greek, to see and to know. So seeing is not just believing, it is knowing. And knowing, for me, is stronger than believing. Knowing is knowing. Believing is only hoping, or knowing that there is hope, something like that. Knowing is seeing. I've been so long with you, and you have not known me, Philip. He who has seen me has seen the Father. Therefore, you have never known me. If you had ever known me, you would have known my Father also. So I can be with you, and yet you never know me. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. For I and my Father are one. No one has ever seen God. The only one in this world that could ever reveal God is his only begotten Son, who is within him. And that is so true. You walk the earth as a man, John Brown, with all the weaknesses, all the limitations of the flesh, and then suddenly an explosion takes place within you, a real explosion. And after the whole thing settles, here before you is that which was within you from the beginning of time. And God has put eternity, yes, the lad, into the mind of man, yet so that man cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. Only in the end, after the explosion, he reveals you as God the Father. Until then, you didn't know the Father. You didn't know God. You didn't know who the Son really was, for you were taught by tradition that it was Jesus Christ. You were not taught that Jesus Christ is God the Father, who David in the Spirit calls my Lord the Father. You were not taught that Jesus Christ is God the Father. What ye think of the Christ? Whose son is he? They answered, the son of David. Then he replied, then why did David in the Spirit call him Father? Why did he call him Adonai, call him my Lord? If David in the Spirit calls him Father, how can he be David's son? There's only one being in this world, only God. And God, as we're told in the second Psalm, I will tell of the decree of the Lord. I will tell of the decree. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. He said unto me, thou art my son. Today I have begotten thee. So when the Son called David, these words he spoke to David. Appears you don't feel yourself other than what you are, as far as the I-ness goes. But may I tell you what he felt like? The Ancient of Days. I know when I looked at David, I was simply the being that I am, and yet I was, as I sat there, the Ancient of Days. I was that same being who asked me to name the greatest thing in the world. And I answered, love, faith, hope, and love. These three, the greatest of these is love. Love, faith, hope, and love. These three. But the greatest of these is love. Then he embraced me.